All right. It is Monday, June 23rd, 2025, and this is the meeting of the Franklin Public Library Board of Trustees. And I want to just start the meeting by acknowledging that we are the library in the city of Franklin, in the state of Wisconsin, in the United States of America, in the northern hemisphere of the northern continent of the western hemisphere of the world. Well, and we are, and before the events of today and this weekend happened, I was thinking that, you know, part of our strength comes in our connections with each other. So that is where our strength as a board lies, and we should keep that in the front of our minds without getting too much more involved in things. So I am calling this meeting to order, and I will take a roll call attendance here. Annie O'Clubgia?
Present.
Amanda Pound?
Here.
Christopher Dahl is excused. Terry Barris?
Here.
Judy Williams-Kalaki?
Here.
Alan Alexandrovich?
For
Sorry.
you to say.
Sorry.
Here.
Mike Karalevitz?
Here.
And Jason Craig.
Present.
Perfect. All right. There are no visitors, no public
Thank you.
comments, so we're going to go on to the minutes. We had our last regular board meeting on May 19th. So looking over those minutes,
I'll make a motion to approve.
I
Okay.
second.
Can I
Annie-
make a motion to approve my minutes?
you can make it, sure. Annie and Mike. Any questions or comments?
Well, it's just nice to have the two groups together.
Yeah, well, this
Oh,
is the
this
regular
the last
board
one.
meeting
I missed
first.
the last
You
one.
can,
That
you
was a senior
can,
night.
yep.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstained? All right, motion carries. And now, Amanda, we met with the we had a special library board meeting with the foundation. We will be reporting on that in the foundation section of the agenda. But does anybody have anything to say about the minutes other than it was a very nice meeting?
Motion to approve.
Okay, that was Amanda. Do I have a second? I will second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstained?
I abstained because I was not there.
Abstain.
Okay, so Judy and Jason
And Mike.
and Mike abstain. Got that, Annie?
Got it.
Excellent. Motion still carries. All right. I just have to. Annie, what are your initials on this?
AVO. Usually?
ABO. All right. All righty.
Anne Marie Vitas.
Well, I know, but I thought you only had a two letter. Those have disappeared.
I
All
was
right.
25 when I got
That's
married. I
okay.
thought it'd be smart to
Oh my god.
It is super cool,
What a
Annie.
dummy.
Woo! Alrighty, is it a full moon tonight?
You know what to do.
Gotta be.
Alrighty, Ellen. Ellen is gonna do our finance committee report.
Okay, for Fund 15, the invoices, I saw nothing out of the ordinary. There was the 27,797 for Nicholas, but,
Everything,
yeah,
nothing, yeah.
nothing out of the ordinary. So I'm looking for a motion to accept $41,856.48 worth of invoices.
I so moved.
Oh,
You go first.
okay,
So moved.
Annie and Jason and Annie. Okay. Any further questions on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstained? Motion carries.
Okay, Fund 16, the invoices are $10,207.85. I didn't see anything. Oh, Waterstone Bank is a little larger because we're doing two of them. It's May and June in here.
Okay, and that's our credit card bill,
Credit card.
basically, yeah.
So I'm looking for a motion to accept the $10,207.85 invoices.
Oh, I so moved.
I'll second that.
Alrighty, we will swap, so Annie and Jason. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Continue.
Okay. find my report. Here we go. The May report represents 41.37% of the year as far as revenue goes. No.
No.
May is 41.37% of the year. The revenue is 96.44% of budget. Investment incomes are still good. May was a 3 payroll month, so if you're looking at the labor, it looks higher than what it normally has been, and that's the reason. Longevity is still gonna be a problem by year end, and the interdepartment charges for April and May were both posted in May, and even though Dust Free is gone, they haven't increased those charges much. I would have
Increased or
expected-
decreased, or,
Increased,
Oh.
because we're not paying Dust Free anymore.
Right.
We have an employee again working.
yeah, I guess my question in that is, what exactly are those charges for? Joe,
Joe, Mike.
shared Joe.
Shared Joe, Mike, Mark, and Weekend Bob.
Okay, okay.
Weekend Bob.
Well,
We used
Joe
to have Bob.
2.0,
His mother couldn't come up with a name.
all right. Just making sure.
And Joe
She
is
just
Joe
had him in
2.0. He's the new Joe.
New Joe, Joe 2.0, okay.
And other expenditures in Fund 15 were as anticipated. Fund 16, the revenue is 44.26% of the budget. The refunds and reimbursements was over $1,000, and that's because we were getting money from the Library Foundation. And expenditures were 27.54% of budget. Other expenditures were as anticipated.
And,
The cash register was perfect, as
Now,
expected.
Fund 16 is where a lot of the program monies come from, right? So is that stuff still where we would expect to see, like, summer programming, where that's gonna kick it up? So
It'll-
now we're gonna be a
it'll
lot
go up.
closer to what we budgeted?
So I have two questions in the report. One, how can the longevity be off? Isn't that what the city
They
forecast?
give us that number, yep.
I don't put
Okay.
that number in.
Okay,
But
Right.
if you take that 152.50 times 12, we're gonna be over budget.
yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, I'm not gonna comment.
Maybe.
Second question is, so for the revenues, we're slightly below where we would expect to be mid-year, right?
For
For
funds.
Fund 16?
No, it's in May.
Oh, I guess that's right, true.
we're in May afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're
do
not
we
halfway.
expect, cause I thought, well, maybe we should talk about this later on, the 5-3
Mm-hmm.
thing. I'm just curious as to how that's going to affect Fund 16 budget that could be implemented.
Yeah. And then the total expenditures being only 27.54. Part of that is because we spend out of Fund 15 first before we spend out of Fund 16. So
For,
library materials, so we
Oh,
haven't
okay.
spent any, I don't think, not
Yeah.
much,
What-
library
Why do we
materials.
budget anything in 16? Why don't we do it all in 15 and make it easy? So nobody's watching, am I over, you know?
Because we
Yeah.
run a deficit, because what we do is, like, the library materials, I'm assuming, Jennifer, at some point we run out of Fund 15 and then we use Fund 16 to buy them.
Mhm.
But the goal, we've always said we were gonna use Fund 15 first, so when the city came to us, they wouldn't think we had more money available.
and,
right?
and I
So-
guess your point is, let's just put all of the categories in Fund 15 and be done with it. Let's not have
Yeah.
a Fund 16. So if it's fines, it goes in Fund 15 instead of Fund 16.
Well, and it could be too, like where Fund 15 is everything except for donations, and then we have a donation account, which would be our Fund 16.
Yeah, because the issue is if we have a Fund 15, isn't then city money and the city can tell us what we have.
Right,
Yeah.
that is the other, that is,
Well, they can do it with Fund 16 too.
No,
It's
Fund
all-
No.
16 is library board, yeah.
We
Accountable.
It's all ours, they can't touch.
They can't.
Then let's
touch
put it all in
right?
Fund
It doesn't
16.
count towards, it also doesn't
believe
count
so.
towards the reserve, I don't think, that you're supposed to have a $100,000 minimum fund balance, or does it?
Right,
That was
fund
Fund
balance,
15.
right.
That's Fund 15.
Can't go
But that's
below.
only 15.
Right.
That's
Correct.
Fund 15, so if we were
Right.
to take money from 16 and put it in 15, then they would
Then-
essentially, you would count that against us for the $100,000.
they would look at that as our, yeah.
Because when I looked into combining Fund 16 with Fund 15,
I
I was
remember.
told, why would you want to do that? Because it's more flexible keeping it in Fund 16.
I would advise against combining of the two funds, because then, as you say, that would make, they would have the appearance of, well, there's such a higher fund balance,
Mhm.
and thus there wouldn't be a need for the city to kick in
Correct.
and
Yeah, we don't want that.
fulfill those obligations.
Right.
So I would highly advise against doing that.
Okay, there you go. Keep reading from Jason.
He's on the finance committee, so, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good job.
All right, continue, if you want.
I do, but I got,
I'm sorry,
Some-
I sidetracked him. Distracted
You know,
That's
when I
okay.
got
We
my
have so
printout,
many
it printed
spreadsheets.
out slightly
I
out
only
of
have one meeting
order.
left.
It was like 16 then 15, so I
Yeah.
don't know
So
if
you're
that's
chilling.
what you're seeing too. I had to rearrange my
no,
pages.
I knew that, and I was gonna go to page 9.
Uh-oh, did I mess something up?
No.
Yes,
Yes.
it's totally unworkable, but I'll try to do this I can.
Oh, because there's no February, March, and April, and
No, the one I wanna start with
Again?
Okay.
is page 9, because I like the one where we have
The-
2025
And
through
20, 12
May.
month.
Yeah, we have the whole 12 months, because it projects as to where we are.
Correct.
And if you look at Fund 15, and to keep this moving, because we don't have air conditioning, the budget is 1.5 million
right,
in revenues,
right.
and we're looking like we're gonna come in 1,538,000, but that's skewed because library reciprocal borrowing, the 58,000, we never see that. So actually, our revenues are running ahead of budget at this point. And then if we go to page 10 and go right to the total expenditures, total expenditures were budgeted at 1,712,000,
Mm-hmm.
and we're on target to be 1,622,000. But in there, in that last area of capital outlays,
Mm-hmm.
we had two large items in 2024 in September and November that make our total 64,600, and we only budgeted 9,000. So it looks, so we're
Oh,
doing
it's the
way
library
better than
material
we thought.
stuff, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
And then if we go back to page, I think it's 6,
7,
Mm-mm-mm.
6 and 7,
we, 6.
and 10.
We
Oh,
can look
I
at the
see it.
same thing for Fund 16, and again, our revenues are running, looking at this annualization of
Mhm.
the information, higher than what we had budgeted, and our expenditures are running lower.
Oh, Lord.
So we're running well right now.
So when we're looking at things like the fund balance, in spite of that, our budget still says that we're gonna have a deficit at the end of the year,
Right.
right? That's based on what we budgeted.
Right.
So here we are like halfway through the year. When should we really get a good
Well-
read as to, like, should we wait like September, October to really understand how close we're gonna come to reality?
Well, some of it is, are we gonna have some
Usually.
savings with electric because of the
Electric.
solar? Are we gonna
And LED.
realize some
Well, you-
savings from that?
And that shouldn't even be questioned, right? I mean, that was the
Shouldn't.
reason why
Yeah,
it was
it
done.
shouldn't be.
As
Right.
natural gas. is
We're
Mhm.
saving on air
going-
conditioning.
That's what I was just gonna say, you're not paying for your, so.
Right.
You know, hopefully we're saving on maintenance, because once we get we did the new boilers and we get the new,
Right. New
Chiller.
everything.
Oh, we
It
won't
should
be
be more
dropping
efficient.
$10,000 every other month.
yeah. There should be some savings there too.
Okay, so
Hopefully.
is there gonna be stuff coming out of the next agenda item where we're talking about the budget for next year? I want to talk about it.
Okay.
Judy, anything?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay.
Any other questions on the reports?
Finances?
Okay,
Well, cool. Thanks, Alan.
you're welcome. And then we get to,
Well, I do have a question. I'm sorry. I wasn't sure what point you were at because our pages were shuffled. Are some of these months blank just because you weren't inputting stuff those months? Or,
oh, right, there was nothing to input.
oh, I don't believe that, but okay. That's fine. Not that I don't believe you. I didn't say I didn't believe you. I just said I didn't believe it. So,
Okay.
that's all. Okay.
The credit card summary, report.
Looks pretty
Do you,
clean.
do you know what the sundry contractors was for 2023? $773, Jennifer, because I couldn't find the invoices that were approved last month, the copy that I had. I don't know what in the world I did with it.
Sundry,
Contractors,
I mean, what we pay out of sundry contractors are summer reading.
$2,773 on this
Mhm.
report.
Yeah, that makes sense, cause what, you know,
But,
for,
but what is it?
it's all our summer reading program.
Oh, summer reading, okay.
Yeah,
But what?
so,
But the program supplies were also way up, $2,336.
summer reading,
So that's all summer reading,
$5,000 on summer reading, huh?
pretty much.
remember that,
Reading's important.
remember Foundation's reimbursing us for some of that?
Yep.
For, the big summer wean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, how's it compare to last year? I mean, what did we do last year for summer reading? I mean, we shouldn't be amazed at the numbers if the numbers match up to what we had last year, although we don't see it here.
Right.
I would imagine it's comparable. We always know that, you know, in April and May, getting ready for summer reading, the
Mhm.
costs get higher. Believe it or not, June and July, probably, despite the fact that summer reading is going on, those numbers will be lower. I do
Because-
remember that, because they're not paying out anything
Yeah.
during those months. They've paid it
And
already,
they're too busy
so.
to order anything.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So,
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be very easy to look back a year to see.
Well, and last month, we saw all the stuff that was being done.
Right,
For
yeah.
kids and teens and adults,
Yes.
so it's just like, I mean, when you
Mhm.
think about it, it's really small potatoes considering all the stuff you're doing for the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah,
There's a
that's
great
a
deal
lot.
of programming that is coming out.
For $5,000, I mean,
Right.
try to do anything for $5,000 these days.
Hate my living room.
Okay.
To be honest.
I got a good painter if you need one.
He's got it all taped today, so we're good.
Wait, is he off for the summer?
Huh?
Is he off for the summer? Who is this?
No, it just happened to be a guy that I had. And
Oh.
it's just like, you know
That's enough.
Okay,
All
word of
right.
mouth is good advertising. Huh?
then we're going into the finance committee report.
Okay, so we are technically done with the vouchers, invoices, and treasurer's report. So if Mike or Alan or Terry or whoever combination wants to give the finance committee
I'm not on
meeting
finance
report.
anymore.
Jason is on it now.
Jason's.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, that's right.
I'm a
I
building
apologize,
surveillance now.
Jason.
Next month I'll have an updated.
Okay,
list.
gotcha. It's just so, okay, yeah, I have it right here. All right.
Okay, on June 11th, we met to discuss the budget. I had, like I normally do, put together, a report, a spreadsheet, doing calculations to come up with what we should have.
Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, I don't know what page this is, because it's printed over there.
I have,
19?
19?
it'd be 19.
Yeah, it'd be 19.
Looks like 19.
Yeah, 19.
Budget report,
Yeah.
5-year projection.
Okay.
One of the things that I did because it irritated me, I put it on this report. The first column you see is 2024 actuals as of January 21st.
Okay, so that's like all cleaned up, like everything paid for.
But,
Yeah, and
Done.
because we're a cash basis, everything's in there as of January 21st. So I thought,
Cool.
and then we had another report on 4/23, in which everything that's highlighted in those first two columns in yellow,
yeah, changed.
Changed.
it changed.
What the heck?
Yeah. Now, I don't know if it changed in February or March or April, but it changed after January 21st. And so that's
Okay.
just my way of whining about it.
Okay.
You can-
Reason given? None?
Yeah, why did it change?
Audit.
Oh, sure.
That's all
So
I can
we're
think of.
that much off on stuff?
That's
Let's see.
pretty significant for,
It depends on the item, because there are some where it's a very small change, but
Right.
others where there's significant sort of bump.
Right.
Plus minus. So, I mean, if you look at like postage in Fund 15, it's about $36
Yeah,
versus a
$7,000.
Yeah, exactly. So it isn't where it's a 3% across the board. There's just varying degrees
Right,
depending on
right.
the.
But like
But there's
But
20,
Salaries, that's kind of surprising.
$18,000 is a big chunk of change.
salaries,
Yeah.
why would that
Why is
change?
that so?
You know,
Because I don't put
that-
those numbers in at all, so you would think
because
that they would have
those
the.
tax forms have to be out by the end of January, so how could it
Yeah, how could
change
it change
between
that much?
January to,
So is that a follow-up item?
well, there
anyway,
there are 20 different accounts that
yep,
they,
Well, you would like to have a number that you can count on, and if you don't know that you can count on it in February or March, and here in April, all of a sudden the number is like this.
yeah, and if I hadn't checked it, we would have gone ahead and
Sure.
looked at it as of January and
Oh,
said, that's
absolutely.
where we're at. And
sure. Oh, yeah,
So,
okay, something to keep an eye on or something to, yeah.
okay, then as we,
Wait, time out. I'm sorry. So Jennifer, how do those two numbers, I assume these are numbers from the city? Or are these numbers from,
well,
It says budget report,
Yes,
yeah.
city.
yeah.
okay, so like, for example, I'm just looking at the top of page 20, subscriptions. There's a discrepancy there. Which of those two numbers matches what you know you paid? I guess that's my
So
question.
there's the amended.
No, but
No, no,
we
no,
had
but
an
we're looking- we're
actual
looking-
in
we're comparing the
January and
two
an
actuals.
actual in April. Which of those two numbers matches what your actual that you know you submitted for payment?
Oh, I'd have to, because there's
Yeah.
so much.
Right, right. And so I guess that's where what
Yeah.
my question would be like in your what you know you are spending from our budget, which one does it match? You know?
Yeah, I mean, look
so
at the electricity is like almost $6,000,
Mm-hmm.
and you pay that bill, don't you?
Every month, yeah,
yep. So that would be something maybe
I can.
to
ask.
compare against.
Well, that's somebody else's job to say,
Right,
I
I know.
these are
I
the
don't
numbers.
I
know,
know.
I don't
Yeah.
know, because Alan, I believe this is the first time you've ever done this.
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
Has this happened in prior years?
don't know.
Yeah, I guess you would assume.
Yeah,
Well,
I,
look, I guess I'm confused. So 2024 actual, 1/21/2025, library reciprocal borrowing, maybe that's not a good example, maybe salaries are. So this is 532,904.
Mhm.
That's not actual expenses at that time. That's estimated for the year, right? Because we did not spend,
Nope.
as of January 21, $532,000.
Yeah, because that's
That
for the
was for
prior year.
2024.
2024.
It's 24 numbers in 2020.
That's
Oh,
the
I see what you're
question.
saying.
So he waited until towards the end of January to look at the actual.
But the amended budget is what we passed, isn't that? Do we have an amendment?
The
in
amended budget
2024?
is the next column over
Right, I
the
know,
third.
but we had an amended budget in 2024. Did we have to amend it to change one of the categories?
Yeah, we had
I'm
to
not
change-
sure.
I
We
thought
had to change
did.
several of the categories.
We had to change several of the categories, and I thought we had changed the amendment. It was like $25,000.
For which specific, yeah, I mean, that would be the question. For which specific,
There were several.
yeah,
Right.
right.
So, I think you need to figure out what they did with the amendment,
They must, yeah.
because even the amended budget, this does not make
But-
sense. Because when we did the amendment, it was like, I thought it was for more than, maybe I'm misremembering which year it was, but
It
there
was
was
more.
one year where we had to do an amendment because we were over.
That
Yeah.
was this year, more, it was, because we had those huge expenses in building and the maintenance.
Do you know, Jason, when did they have the auditor come in to actually audit the expenses?
Those come in every year.
But do you know when during the year?
Oh.
Like, is it possible they did the January based upon what they had in the
Our
records as of
amendment.
January, and then they had the auditors come in? Because usually we have the audit done in the first few months, and the auditors said, no, the actual numbers are these.
I want, like, I don't believe it's in, I think it's early in the year. I don't know exactly when, but
Do you know what I'm saying, Alan? How you have like, you actually have your end of year,
Yes.
which is the number. January 21 would seem to make sense for, this is, everything's now in for 2024. But then you have the auditors usually come in and look at your financial statements to make sure they're accurate. And is it possible that when the auditors came in, they discovered entry errors?
And then the question
It's
is,
possible, yes, but, in all the years in which I was audited, never had this.
I'm not making
I'm
a
off.
comment upon
Right.
the cities.
Well,
eventually.
no. And I guess my question is then, is there generally a timeline for the city requiring us to make those amendments?
Well, I'm
And if
assuming,
it is
beginning of the year.
before the audit is coming in, does that make sense?
well, I'm assuming we did not have to make an amendment, because if you look at the numbers for the amended budget, like almost all of these are within the number. Some of them are slightly over, but ultimately, the amended budget for, and remember, the way it works for the amendments is by category, not by specific line item. So like, when you look
Oh.
at capital, or when you look at,
Gotcha.
employee benefits, the amended budget was 218, we still only had 213. So there would have been an amendment required by us for the budget when they had the actual numbers. I don't know, I think I would go back to who do we work with at the city?
Danielle.
I was to have her confirm
Mhm.
what the change was, but I'm guessing it's gonna be the auditors came in
Mhm.
and said, when they did
Moved
the,
categories of things.
It were- yeah, or
where we
there's-
had it.
yeah, or
It was
something
assigned
that
to
wasn't
the right one.
accrued right, or whatever it might be.
Well, and also if there's a particular procedure that they follow where, okay, you can assume,
Mhm.
or we will communicate to you when the books have been closed for the prior year. That way, you know, okay, now we have a good 2024 number, 2025 number, whatever.
Right.
Right. The one thing
That's
that
my
does
concern.
jump out at me though is the facility charges were higher than budget, but they were substantially higher even in January of 2025. Because it said, we had in a budget of 188, and they ended up being 201 in January and then 209.
Because
And
of
that was
that,
because the,
that huge air conditioning bill.
right, exactly, and I think
$24,000
that's where
or
we did,
something,
I thought we did
wasn't
an amendment based upon
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
So, I bet
Should-
you,
Yeah, it says it right here that we did $24,000 on natural gas.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, I don't know, I think we should confirm it, but I'm thinking that might be what's going on, is the actual auditors came in and audited their books.
It'd be nice to know for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
would.
I
Sure.
completely agree.
And it probably happens every year, we just,
Yeah, maybe it just hasn't
Yeah.
been as noticeable.
Timeline does make sense. Audit happens in March.
Okay.
That's a communication point then too for all the
Right.
departments that, okay, something comes from Danielle saying, okay, here's the good numbers. Look at these numbers now for the prior year.
Right.
well, she's the one who brought up that we needed to do the amendment, so. Cause we went over an operating,
Right.
everything else we were fine in,
Yeah, but we work a cash basis company,
Right.
entity. So it's, if you paid it, it's in the financials. If you didn't, it ain't. And so,
So what
I don't know
what should
how
be
the
different?
auditors would find out that, did you know that you paid that and you didn't record it?
I would have a guess, which is they're doing the accounting for all of the departments, and something got mislabeled in the ledger as being fire
Oh.
department, it was really library. That would be an example of where you could have had, you know what I'm saying?
You know, okay, I could see that, just seems to be too much.
Well,
And payroll?
I don't disagree
Part of
with
me
you,
would like to,
Alan.
part of me
I
would
know.
like to see it, just to make sure,
I'm with
okay,
you,
it
I think we need to
actually is-
verify it, I think we need to verify what happened, because if that's the case, then we know the January numbers are really not the January numbers, and we need to wait for the auditor.
Which is, January is usually when we should do a budget amendment, right?
Right, yeah,
Right.
I agree, I completely agree.
Or if we are, yeah.
But I mean, this isn't just one or two categories.
No, it's a lot. It is a lot.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we should confirm what happened and why
Yeah,
all the
I can
changes.
follow up with Danielle.
And then you guys can call me and tell me if I was right or if I was wrong. Or ask Lauren.
No, just assume you were right. Go with it, really.
Go with that, okay.
Okay, jumping into the budget, everything that you see highlighted in blue is numbers that we get from the city.
Mhm.
So I don't think we should spend a lot of time. What we have here is a
Is
placeholder.
what- Yeah.
Looking through, nothing is changing significantly. Well, dust free is gone, so that's gonna, that dropped
What
down.
does
to
we
zero.
pick up hoopla mean?
We pick up hoopla, that means we're paying for hoopla,
Oh,
not
okay.
Nicholas anymore.
Yeah, so the change went from being a MICPLUS, being in
Yep.
this, yeah,
Right.
Did we make any adjustments for the solar panels?
No, 'cause what's gonna happen?
Well, I don't know if we're getting any credits or if there's any savings or anything like that.
There should be.
Savings,
year?
I think.
For next
We
year's
should
they're
start
up
seeing them
online.
this year.
They're online, yeah.
Yeah, this is next year's budget.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't think you can do anything.
I think
We're
it's
hoping
budgeted,
to-
it's budgeted for what is known as a
Right.
cost versus saying, well, we're gonna estimate this much
Well, I
savings.
agree with that. I think we should
Yeah,
do it
that's
based
smart.
upon this year, and then if we have extra money, we have extra money.
Yeah.
But
Well-
you might ask
We
that
did
question
kind of
at the
adjust it down though.
Finance
Yeah,
committee, Jason.
Yep.
Danielle or the mayor will knock that one down.
Well, and that's a really good one where across all of the different departments to say, okay, when you're budgeting for next year, don't be too aggressive in making
Yeah.
changes to, like, don't go beyond X percent
Mhm.
lower than what you have right now, simply because we don't know.
Yeah.
Let's
Right.
go with some real numbers. Because it's still something that has to deal with,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Unknown, yeah.
you know?
I think over the next couple of months, we'll be able to see tangible
Right.
evidence,
right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If we change anything significantly, that would be called, this is an accounting term, a SWAG. Stands
Yes.
for Scientific Wild Ass Guess.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's right.
It's a technical.
That's a technical term.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know
Yes.
that everybody knew what a SWAG was.
Oh,
I thought it was a swag bag. but
Right,
that's
that's what I
No.
was thinking.
No,
Swag.
that's
It
what
was
you're gonna get before you
$100,000
leave,
Oscar,
you know?
Yeah, no. I do have a question about one of the line items.
Go for it. Which one?
You have for 2029, no strategic planning consultant for the sundry contractors, but isn't it a 5-year strategic plan, so aren't you gonna need to start including that in the numbers?
Most of this is formulas,
Okay,
and the budget we're presenting is 2026. So,
Okay.
once you get past 2026, we're trying to make it
Okay.
as real as possible.
got it.
When we get into the services and charges, I think that's pretty much right in line. The 2025 budget was 96,000, we're at 97, so that's close.
And this is only for Fund 15, right?
This is
Mhm.
Fund 15 that we're looking at, yeah, only
Okay.
Fund 15. And then when we get into the facility charges, it was 197,000 for the 2025 budget, and we're dropping it to 192,000 because we did take electricity down
Mm.
from a budget of 84 to 70.
I thought you just said you weren't gonna do that.
We weren't gonna do much, but we talked about it in the committee and said we should do something. And so we took it to 70,000. I didn't think that was a whole lot. What is that?
That's a 10%, 15% cut.
Yeah, that's a lot.
They're saying at least 25% that we should see. That was the projection.
And I didn't wanna change it at all, because if you look at the actual as a 4/23/25 for 24, although we had an amended budget of 76,000,
Yeah.
it was
It was still
91,000, almost 92,000. 25% of that, you're maybe even, 70,000 might be low.
I think it
Mhm.
is too low.
I think it. We talked about it
Increased cost too.
and decided to go with it
Mm-hmm.
because we had other.
Well, yeah, you were done in 58 minutes.
Wow. Can we stop her for you?
It's called efficiency.
Right.
Alan
are
did everything.
financial
Alan
guys.
has
Wow.
everything.
Good thing I'm
Wow.
sitting next to you to protect you. You can't deflect all these arrows.
Well, I started crying. I couldn't answer her.
Anything else, Annie?
No. You guys made me the secretary. I always check the minutes.
In the next section of facility charges, or in that section, you can see that the interdepartment charge allocation thing went from 56,000 to 80.
Yeah.
Well, we did that because we're expecting with this
Yeah.
extra person that it should go up. We dropped
Gotcha. Dust free.
dust free at 3,000 a month. I don't know what they're gonna hit us with, we don't know yet, so we threw that's kind of a placeholder. And again,
Mhm.
that's a number
Mhm.
we get from the city.
Right.
I mean, honestly, we dropped dust because we felt like it would be a better deal.
It is, it was saving us like 10,000.
Yeah, but
Well,
this is
in
more
the
than
bid-
$10,000 increase.
Well, and the better deal can come in two
Because-
different phases. It can
because they
come
do-
in
Yeah.
cheaper or
Right,
in better
quality.
service.
Yes,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. And I
You
know,
know, we had issues where we
That's
were
an
wondering,
excellent
is
point.
stuff gonna get taken care of when we need to have it?
Yeah.
So rather,
Oh, the dusty credenza.
for $80,000, you're
We
not
need to
having a
start
dusty
moonlighting and
credenza
charging you guys
anytime.
$10,000 a month. Top of my head with the- You see that chair?
Okay.
Sent to my client.
Okay, moving right along.
Moving right along.
Furniture and fixtures, we had 50,000, and I don't remember what that was.
New desks for the director and the assistant director.
Yep.
Possible chairs in the future in the Phaedra room.
So you were taking notes, good man.
Yeah, he's got it.
oh, he's got a good memory.
Uh,
Either works.
Replacing this table down the road, I think at 28,
Oh,
Yeah.
29, something like that.
we,
There you go.
we had some kind of a potential deal too, did anything develop?
So with the new residents that are taking up space in the industrial park, they were so kind to donate furniture to City Hall.
Oh,
And I said, you know, if as they're consolidating their Oak Creek facility and Illinois facility, if there's a gap between when they have their furniture of today versus when they have the furniture of tomorrow,
gotcha.
they're very much open to, hey, do you need this? So I kind of planted it out. The library would love to take desks and or chairs, so please
discussion
feel
at the
free.
foundation.
And that
Yeah,
was
let us
Better
know. Yeah, for
excellent
sure.
condition.
So the 50,000 might be high because we might.
correct.
Good.
That may be a like where Yaskawa may come through again for
Right.
the city.
An idea about that
But
too.
we could, like the carpeting in the center part
Mm,
of the library.
yeah.
I was talking with Pat Bartz last week, who came through after our meeting and said, well, you're probably gonna wanna consider if you wanna do the same carpet.
Pattern.
You're
Yeah.
gonna wanna do it sooner rather than later, so that could open up some. So that's a building and grounds, that's what you guys get to discuss on Wednesday.
Yay.
Well, what do we get to discuss on Wednesday?
Carpeting.
The carpeting,
I'm an outdoor kind of guy, so.
the pattern may be
already
changing
looking at
sooner
this.
rather than later. So if we would want to match it, we would maybe wanna do it sooner rather than
Sure, because
later.
every time they do a run, the
So
color
it might be a
change
change of
little.
priorities as far as
Yeah.
what, like, what gets.
He's a great salesman.
I was,
Give you some more money now versus
yeah.
later.
Okay, that takes us down to the total expenditures, which in the new budget for 26 is less than what we had in 25.
Okay.
25 was 1,712,000.
Mhm.
This is 1,683,000. So
663.
yeah,
Even
we're
better.
good. Yep.
Good job, guys.
Fund 16. Total revenue, we're budgeting for 2026, 60,890, same as 25.
Okay, how, are we gonna have to redo this if we decide to get rid of fines?
We would.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're not gonna do that.
Revisit it or get rid of fines.
Well, let's wait till that's on the
Okay.
agenda.
Cause this was based on an assumption we would have fines, I'm assuming based on,
Right, right.
Alan's
Correct.
comment,
Right.
just the same
Because
as last
nothing
year.
has
Right.
changed.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
nothing has changed, so we gotta go ahead with what we have.
Right.
Getting into the expenses for 2026, contractual services about the same. Supplies, exactly the same. Services and charges, that one came
Down
down
a little bit.
350, why? Oh, equipment rental, there was something that, Jennifer, that you knew we weren't gonna be renting.
Mobile hotspots.
Yeah. Building maintenance other, just a flat 1,000. Library materials and furniture and fixtures, we kept the same. And volunteer recognition, we kept the same, although I thought the board should all get something really fancy.
Totally.
Something really fancy.
Can I ask a question?
No,
You just
Yeah,
did.
you did,
I am.
yes,
Well, yes,
exactly.
there's another one. I'm gonna ask a couple more because I'm a lawyer. Oh, it says I only have one question. I have multiple. So in library materials in Fund 15, you budgeted for this year 91, and then for 2026 it's 80, 82, and 84. Are we just assuming we're ordering less library materials? Because the amount that you have for Fund 16 doesn't make up for the decrease. You went from 81 in the 2024 budget to 91 in the 2025 budget, and then we go down to 80.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there could be savings. I mean, we're ordering less media
Okay,
because
because
of streaming.
the inflation rate would tell us that the amount would increase unless we're planning on decreasing the materials we're bringing into the library.
Yeah.
It sounds like what you said, that's right. Fewer streaming services, subscriptions.
So we're like Chicago. I say Chicago should be
Right,
1600.
right.
Stuff like that. I know. I don't
30.
disagree with that decision at all.
$600
Mhm.
a year. I
Yeah.
about fell
Yeah.
out
And
of
it
chair.
is Chicago.
$3,600 for the trip?
Yeah,
That's
I'm calling to
insane.
cancel them and I'm gonna see if they come back.
That's yeah. But anyway, so that was a conscious decision. I just wanted to make sure because that's a huge decrease. It's not made up for in Fund 16.
Mhm.
Okay.
and you had multiple questions to your one question, you
Yeah.
said?
I did just ask multiple questions, but I can ask more. Okay.
So-
So
Maybe
don't
some
encourage
of
me.
those
Wait, so, but Jennifer, you're comfortable with that change in that number?
She insisted on it.
Did I really?
She did?
Because isn't that a large part of why Fund 16 is less than this year? I mean, that's an $11,000 decrease. And when I'm looking at how you got from 1.7 to 1.663, that's what? That's
You insisted that you
$50,000, and that's
spend
$10,000 less,
A
$11,000
lot of it
less.
was the media was
It's
taken.
20%. Yeah, but are we gonna have to do something like with Hoopla? Is Hoopla included in the increase?
Hoopla's, no. Hoopla's not in this category.
It's in a different
It's in
category.
subscriptions.
Okay.
Subscriptions.
So
That went up
And that
15
we
grand.
do have to, that we will have to seriously look, I mean, I'm hoping that Mickless will have an alternative,
Mm-hmm.
because right now, I think the projection for 2026 for Hoopla is like 19,000, a little over 19,000 and some change. It's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
okay, I just wanna make sure it was conscious because it's a huge decrease. I would expect that if we have the
Materials.
same level of materials, we would see increases because of inflation.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we want. Maybe
Are we
want
getting
more.
pressure from the city to have a budget less than what we had last year?
We read the memo. No, I'm not getting pressure to have it less than,
Uh-huh.
but it's
We're
gonna
just
be
dealing
tight.
with what we anticipate getting.
Okay.
Let's look at it from a different perspective. In 2024, the actual on 4/23 was 79,203.
Right.
And we had a budget of 91,000 for 2025, which, and 80,637 for 2026. Which number looks like it's out of place? It's 2025's budget of 91,000.
Yeah, for sure.
But where are we at right now in that budget? Are we gonna use all the 91,000 up, Jennifer?
Oh, I've already doled it out. I mean, the librarians usually do.
Yeah, that's a
Usually do
line
spend
item
really
that they,
close. They usually
what
do
they're
spend
given.
close to what. Yeah.
what you tell them they can.
Because I understand your point, Alan, but when you look at the actual budget for 2024, not even 2025, for 2024, the actual is 1.6, and our budget for 2025 is even less, or 2026 is even less than the 2024 budget. I'm sorry, 2024 actual. I don't know.
Okay.
Obviously, I leave that to you, but it's just, it just jumped out at me that was a huge decrease. And I didn't know if we were gonna also get flat-footed or caught
Well-
flat-footed.
If we look at that page 9,
Yep.
we're running at a 86,964, $87,000 pace in Fund 15 for library materials. So we're coming in 4,000 under budget at this point.
And see, unlike things like salaries and benefits, it's not linear.
Right.
Right, and so if you decide next year our library materials budget has to come down because of whatever, then you make a conscious decision to say, I'm only gonna spend X amount of dollars on library materials next year, understanding that, okay, maybe the following year you spend more, I don't know.
But that's why I was asking, is if we were getting pressure, because, you know, we'll have, to your point, we're gonna have to spend to the budget. So,
That's one area we can,
She has the email.
as opposed to,
yeah,
Saved to be created.
salaries,
yeah.
electricity,
Yeah, it's on the.
you know,
Yeah, we're-
that kind of stuff
But that is our
where
main source
we
of providing
don't, we
materials.
can't say we're not spending
I
it.
was just
Right.
reviewing
Yeah.
But the nice
Danielle's
thing is,
email
because it's
today.
capital, it say we don't spend as much in computer equipment,
Right.
it
We
can go
can
to
go to
library, I
that.
mean, there's fluidity,
Flexibility.
flexibility within that category.
That could also be a category that the foundation, I know they
Mhm.
have
Sometimes.
also definitely,
They,
You know,
yeah, they would help
can.
out with certain things, but probably not, they won't, library materials, they're pretty
okay.
Well,
staunch,
that's
because
the
they
main thing.
feel
I mean,
that
that is our
is,
service. That's why I'm asking about
Yeah.
it, because it
They-
is the service we are providing, among other things, for the community. But it's the main service. They come in and they're like, "Where are the materials for me to
Right.
check out?" And
but
use?"
they might be willing to say, pick up the desks for Carrie and I, and then that
Mhm.
saves money in here that we
Right.
could spend on materials.
Right.
Right.
Or maybe Carrie and I go to IKEA to buy our or Costco.
And spend Sunday putting it together.
Times 6.
Be better than what we have right now.
I have a question
All right,
for
where are you
Jason.
at,
I don't
Alan?
think I had enough questions, so I have a question for Jason. Do you think we're gonna get pushback on the 2026 budget for the fact that we do have $50,000 outlay for furniture?
I would not expect that to be embraced wholly by finance.
To Jennifer's point, are you better off putting it into book materials and then?
Well, I mean, I can say our meeting room chairs have had 23 years of butt sitting on them, and if the city wants to, you know, depending, I mean, that's why it was, that's why
right.
it was so high,
Right.
because of that. If we're able to get something else, or maybe we just say, you know what, we can continue using the chairs we have.
Well, a lot of these things, I think, have to be like buildings, right? And Alan will jump in on this. Okay, what's the useful life of X?
Right.
Look at it from an accounting standpoint and say, okay, once we get to this point on X, it's out the door. We're getting new stuff because that's useful, and we've amortized it over the useful life, right? So we're doing due diligence from an accounting standpoint on what's the useful life of things that are capital.
Absolutely.
And it's
That would be my
possible, too.
thought.
Some of our nicer meeting room chairs that are still in pretty good condition, but we don't wanna have mismatched chairs.
Mhm.
Right.
We put up for sale
You know, like
and
being eclectic.
make some revenue from them, so we can increase our revenue line
Right.
We could take them into the makerspace and recover them.
Here we go.
with vinyl, cause that's what I want. I want something wipeable.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
We're teaching a upholstering class.
There we go.
Perfect.
Practice on all the. There we go. Practice on all the chairs that we need recovered.
Yeah,
Something like that.
except that a whole lot of chairs are actually
I know.
physically falling apart. It's not
I
just a
know.
cover. Okay,
Woodworking class.
What else? Anything else?
No, that's-
On
that's it.
116?
on,
Question?
on the budget, anybody have any other questions on it?
So did you wanna keep furniture and pictures at 50 and library materials? Did you want me to take 10,000 from library material, furniture and pictures and put it in library materials?
You know, you put the numbers together for a particular reason, let somebody else poke holes in it.
Okay.
Maybe they need to ask the question, why are you asking for this amount? And then we can tell them why.
Oh, for sure.
I
I can
mean,
take pictures of some of our lovely.
right, have them come, say, come and, I'll have a meeting with you and have out.
Just take one there.
Right. All right. Then we will move on to, guess what? The review of the budget as recommended. Nope,
We
I'm
just
sorry,
did
we
that.
just did
Just
that.
did that, yeah.
As to, well, we have this, was this part of it? Or is this part of your report?
Are you talking about the email from Danielle?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's part of it. That was just information for you
Right,
as far as
okay.
the budget timeline and the fact that she talks about the
Yep.
1.4%.
Gotcha. Any questions
I'm-
about that other than I noticed there's a 2024 date on
Yeah.
page 23? Did you see that?
Yeah,
Okay.
It says
I don't know that
2026
that really
in
matters.
2025. Capital outlay fund request. That second line, it said, items with a total unit cost of $5,000 or more are to be included here.
Yeah,
Okay, total
It's
unit cost, what is she saying? Because, for example, if this chair is $2,000, the unit cost is $2,000. But when we bought
10
10 of
them.
them, it's
Or
now
what's the unit, yeah.
$20,000 for these chairs. So is the unit cost the chairs
Per
for
one?
the Siebert room, or is it for each chair? Makes a difference where you're gonna put it, but
Yeah.
I don't think they want $20,000 just going into operating
Operating
supplies.
supplies.
Right,
no.
I agree.
Right.
Mhm.
So how do you
How do you
treat
read
it
it?
when you do it?
I wouldn't put it in, I'd put these in capital, it's a large I
Okay.
mean, like this was like 10,000, well, how much were these chairs, 7,800?
And maybe it's
And
the
they would-
wording where they say total unit cost. Why don't they just say total cost? Right? Because to your point, unit cost is gonna be the individual one.
Yeah.
Total of all of the stuff, and just say total cost. So maybe it was just the way she worded it.
Could you-
But we need to know how to submit it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
your point,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
so,
Okay.
okay.
Other than dates and or years, I didn't care.
Okay.
All right. We are going on to old business agenda item 7A about fine-free libraries. And
I passed out the sheet, you guys wanted to know, you wanted the information as far as how many fines do other libraries patrons pay at Franklin? So the total is that bottom total.
so explain what this is showing us. Like, people
So-
from Cudahy are paying that amount here at Franklin and we keep that amount?
No.
Okay.
The column, if you look at the column,
It's the blue item for one.
Yeah?
$75 was taken in from Brown Deer fines, 458 from Cudahy.
I got it.
Okay, so the
This
Franklin
one right
line.
here.
So at the bottom, the $8,000.
Yeah,
That's how much we took in fines and kept,
yeah,
but from those individual
Yes.
library patrons, or patrons from those individual libraries?
yes.
Okay,
And so of the 18,000 that we generally get every year,
Mhm.
10,000 of it is from people in Franklin and 8,000 is from other libraries.
Yeah, mhm. That's what I'm deducing.
Oh, no, this is what you're
No.
saying, we took in, what about the amount that we get that the central library collects for Franklin, and they do give that to us.
that's not fines. I believe that's just, that they don't,
That's what's.
That's
the
reciprocal
reciprocal
borrowing.
Borrowing is
piece.
all the libraries. That's a different,
reciprocal borrowing is just use of materials.
That's like that $55,000.
That's not
check.
overdue
No.
stuff. Oh, okay.
If you look at the financials, page 9,
Page
no,
9.
6,
Okay,
and we run that one across, what you'll see, where's fines? Fines till 18,000, January it's 2,700, then 5,000, 500, 700, 700, 2,800, 800.
So you're
Did-
talking about the e-commerce fines?
Yeah,
Yeah, e-commerce fines are ones paid online, and those are all Franklin. There's no other libraries. So when
in
you
Fund
go,
16 there,
yeah,
okay.
when you go to
oh,
County
okay,
Cat and you make that fine payment, it goes to whatever library that material that you're paying a fine on. So
and we only get it quarterly,
we only
but
get
of the
quarterly.
18,000,
It's all
only the
included.
8,000 is other libraries, and the other 10, that's what that's
So
in
this
here.
8,195 are the fines that people who use our library are paying here at Franklin. No matter where the material
Now I'm
comes
confused.
from.
I
So how
know.
much do we get in fines total from
Eight-
Franklin, e-commerce,
18
outside?
grand.
18 grand.
18,000.
Okay.
So if we go fine free,
We're still gonna get
it-
8,000.
I mean,
we'll
as
still
of
get
right now,
8,000.
now it's gonna go down, cause take away
Yeah.
Greenfield.
Oh, yeah, okay, take away Greenfield, cause they've gone fine free, and then take away
So-
us. So take
We're not
away.
included.
We're not
Oh,
There's
we're
a-
included.
not-
there's
oh
a-
yeah, I
We're
see that, I
blanket.
see that, okay, so take
So,
away
you know,
another
1,000, we'll say
900,
1,000,
yeah.
we'll say 1,000,
And what about Shorewood and
I was gonna
Tosa?
say,
Uh,
yeah.
Shorewood went fine free, right?
yeah.
And Tosa.
Who else did?
Tosa and Shorewood and Greenfield.
So we're gonna have to advertise that we'll give a 10% discount if you pay your fine.
But it- yeah.
So,
I think you should increase your library material budget by $10,000 to
Yeah.
offset the 10,000
Yeah.
fines you're losing.
So I just wanted to let you know that last month, Chris came with some excellent information about libraries going fine free, and I had asked him for that information in writing or links to that information.
right.
And he obviously only sent me information that was copyrighted that he, felt comfortable sending. So I have reports from him from, I think he sent me 4. One from the American Library Association, and that lists it's based on their Bill of Rights, which is, he was saying, recommended for him, his position to follow. There was a study he sent me from the New York City Public Library System that was published 3 years after they went fine free, which was very helpful to see 3 years down the line
Mhm.
how this has affected them. Let's see, and then this one was, I don't know when this was done in relation to when they went fine free, from Syracuse University, unexpected benefits of eliminating library fines. And then the other one was an NPR article. Chris's opinion that one may be biased. I did not read all these word for word. I just scrolled through them since I got them recently. I could send them to Jennifer. Jennifer can send them out. They look very interesting, excellent information. I think there's a lot to be said. I think there's a lot to be said about the community of Franklin, and if our residents really fall in the category of feeling like they cannot access our library because of our fines.
Well, in my mind, there's 2 ways of looking at this. You're either not gonna have fines because it's a esoteric thing, or you're not gonna have fines because you really don't care how it, or you are gonna continue to have fines because you say, we really need to have this in the budget. And so it depends on which side of the fence
Right.
you land on. I would feel a lot more comfortable if this conversation went on amongst all the libraries in McFliss, and then have everybody agree, we either all are gonna go fine free or we're not. And, this is kind of like states' rights, right? Where people are saying, what, and I don't know if any library can say, well, we can't afford to go fine free. And yeah, you can, right? You could
You just
figure out
have
to
to
do
give
it.
up something.
Yeah, and now, then it's just a matter of, okay, we're doing this because this is just another way that we communicate to the community. This is a service that we provide to you, and we're not gonna hold you hostage because you're, and it depends on the language you use, right?
Right.
As
Right,
to how
right.
you communicate it, and on the positive or negative side.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have some conflicts of interest given that I currently own fines to the library. But that being said, and I've got no personal interest in this, I'm gonna abstain from any vote if we don't have one tonight, because obviously I'm not gonna be on the board, after tonight. But I guess my query for all of you is this the right time to be making that decision? One, we already have a 2025 budget, which
Right.
anticipates we're gonna have fines, and 2, we don't have a budget for 2026 yet, and we don't know what the impact is going to be. We don't know what we're gonna get for a budget from the city, and making a decision about whether we're gonna go fine free, I'm just a little worried about that, not knowing
Mm-hmm.
what they're gonna do, not knowing how that will be perceived by, the city
Well,
council.
we would have to go in front of the common
Yeah, I
council.
think you would, so I really,
They'd have to be on board with
yeah,
it.
I think that
From an information standpoint or an approval standpoint? Because
Not
that's two
approval
different.
because, but you'd want their buy-in, I think, cause that's how I feel, cause I wouldn't,
Especially when it comes to the budget, you'd need at least 4 alders to say, yeah, this is a great idea, and we'll, fill the gap. For whatever reason, for whatever anyone's individual reasons are, to make the case of, okay, here's why we're gonna do this, here's gonna be the impact for the community, here's where it's gonna impact the council and the city financially. I think that would be more the conversation to be had, rather than just, hey, we wanna be much more opening for, any family that's, that moved here to go to Robinwood. We want you here in the library, and here's kind of the carrot to be part of
I believe,
the
I
library
mean,
family.
I believe the library board could decide to eliminate fines if they wanted to.
I think
Because
that's
of
true.
state law,
I
I think
agree.
that's true, but there's a
but-
political consequence to
but-
doing that.
yeah, but I would not recommend that. Would
What a
not.
perfect opportunity for a corporate sponsorship.
What are you talking about that?
Can you give us 10 grand a year and we will make you the fine-free company of Franklin?
Where's
Like
Costco?
Costco,
Hey, we might be hitting
Karma
Meeting
Labs.
I know, but yeah. What the new company that just signed the thing with
Yeah.
Evers about coming to?
No, we want more than that.
That's the, what's the name of that company?
Yaskawa.
Escawa.
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 Yeah, I guess we will know, but I mean I think I don't know if right now is the time to make it.
I mean, I agree with the
That is just my
budget year
personal
because we've
opinion.
already
Yeah.
set the 2025 budget. I
Mhm.
agree
Yeah.
with that because
So what would it take so has McFliss said they will never as a system go fine free?
Nicholas would never make that decision.
Okay.
That's
So
not
that-
even in their purview.
Well, I don't,
Okay.
and I don't think they can make it for everybody.
No.
Right.
And I could tell you
Why do you
from
say that?
Because it's
I
up
don't
to
think
each,
it's in their
each individual
jurisdiction.
local
Yeah,
control to make the decision on the
municipality.
budget.
Yeah,
I don't
and
think they
I
can.
could tell you just from our meetings, that there are several libraries who are pretty adamant that they will not be going fine-free ever.
Well,
Well,
good
not
for them.
ever, nobody can say ever,
Now,
but
interesting situation. What if
Mhm.
everybody returned their book on time and there were no fines?
Right.
Well, that would be in a perfect world that does not exist.
Well, I understand. So, but
Won't
that's
happen
like
while
that's
I'm
like
living in
saying
Franklin.
we can't count on fines
Well, we can't.
of any amount, and we can't count on reciprocal borrowing of any amount.
I agree with the reciprocal borrowing. You can count on fines because I bet if you look back historically at how many fines we've received every year, it's been pretty similar, or at least of a certain set amount.
it has gone down.
See,
It used to be in the, like,
20s?
probably close to 30. Yeah, but, I mean, you think about it, I have Shout Bomb on my phone, and I get a text message, your item's
What's
due
it
in
called?
5 days. Shout Bomb, it's the company that,
Sure.
so I get a text that says, your item is due in 5 days, do you wanna renew it? And I just hit renew
Renew
all,
all.
RA,
Right.
that's my
I
standard,
know.
I'm just like RA.
RA.
And so it's
Now
just, we
that
make
that
it
being
so
said,
easy.
that might be a great communication piece
Kids are the miserable.
to the community to say,
I guess that should.
we're looking to reduce the fine impact on everybody, so here's what you need to do. You're gonna get an email saying that your items are due. The first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna go out and you're gonna renew that item if you wanna keep it.
Actually, I think I get text messages and emails saying.
Sure you do.
But I think Mike's point is
Emails.
you could essentially become fine free by just
Right,
educating people
by-
about how
Right.
you get the renewal list.
But there's always gonna be people that.
And that might be the path of least resistance,
As a-
while
as an
still
educator,
communicating to
there's always
folks,
going to be one.
well, geez, I don't have to pay a fine, oh,
Like, I
yeah,
just reached
just
in a
renew
book-
the doggone thing.
I just returned a book tonight that was 6 years old from the high school.
I got one from the high school tonight. You've been assessed your fees.
I don't know, Judy, maybe it's a good thing you're going off the board, you know?
But stay in
So my
Franklin,
defense, that was
because
Yeah, that's right,
Stay
yeah,
right
yeah, we
there.
need your
Stay
fines.
there.
We need the fine.
That was for my 18-year-old son,
Oh, okay, well,
who's now 23.
They issued him a diploma with an overdue book.
I was
COVID.
paid for
They were
ours.
handing
Oh,
out
that's right,
diplomas
okay.
and appointment and everything.
All right, well, I
Sorry, I
guess,
didn't mean to digress,
I
but
wanted
is-
to just mention one more thing. 'Cause
Okay.
I talked to Pete,
yeah,
Because I
who's
want
director
that
of
level
TOSA.
Right.
because I wanted to know, since they went fine-free, have they seen things not being returned? Because
That's what my wondering was.
if
You don't,
If
no
you
care in the
don't-
world.
Yeah.
Right.
Like me.
So before they went, so their first step in the process was to go find free with children's. They did that a while ago. That was the first thing they did, so they don't charge on children's books, which is another thing we could consider.
How long have they been fine free?
Oh, 2-3 years fine free.
Total fine free?
Total fine
Okay.
free. Probably 5 or 6 years children's.
Children's, okay.
I could verify that with Pete, but that's my memory. But he said, so before they went fine free with children's, they did a list of the percentage of materials that were overdue checked out at that moment. So it was a snapshot at that
Mhm.
moment. Then they went fine free with children's, and then they ran it a few months later. The percentage was exactly the same. There was no difference.
What about now?
They did the same thing. So just for a reference point, now Pete knows when I talked to him, he knew exactly what the percentage of, he's like weird.
He's nerdy,
He's-
don't say he's
he's-
weird. Okay.
You need those
Eccentric.
He
people.
He's a
told me
numbers
that, he
guy.
knows
That's
how, he
right.
knows
Thank
how
you.
much, he
Data,
knows how
data
the
guy.
percentage of Franklin items that are overdue right now,
Mhm.
cause he ran the list.
What is it?
It's more than Tosa's.
But that's the $10,000 right
I'm going to Tosa.
Judy and I.
Can I ask a
I would
phrase?
start taking books out of Tosa, not Franklin.
Okay, so their
Yeah.
percentage of
So basically,
overdue
all
books
he's
has
saying
not
is-
changed.
All he's saying is the percentage of, and when he said overdue, it's grossly overdue, it's not like 2 or 3 days.
Right,
Right,
yeah,
he's
no,
not
it's
looking
like-
at the,
Yeah.
Okay.
If TOSA's been fine free for 2 years, why are they on this report for Franklin for $703?
that I don't, because there are certain things that they still have fines on. would be
So they're
my
not
guess.
fine free.
They're not fine free for some
Ha.
things. For some things, their Explorer
Like-
Pass, we
Like the
would,
express things or the
Explorer
the
Pass.
passes or
yeah,
maybe
I'd have to
their
ask Pete what
library
he thinks that
things,
703
yeah.
is.
I thought one of the goals of doing Fine Free was it was supposed to decrease the people who had overdue books because they would be encouraged to just bring them back. Is that, but that doesn't
And they
seem to be
did-
what happened in Tosa.
Well-
But it didn't change.
It didn't change.
Percentage didn't change, but what he's saying is it didn't go up. You know, it's not like people were keeping things
status
longer.
quo, essentially.
So you
So
lose
it
money.
hasn't
held on
made a
to
difference.
regardless.
Yeah, so you lose the money, but
So do we
Okay,
have
if
those
they use
numbers?
those as
Have
equity.
Pete run
Yeah.
the numbers on Shorewood and Greenfield?
Oh, he had them for everybody. The day I talked to
Because all
him.
those
He is-
articles we
Can
were
Pete
reading,
come next month?
Yeah, I
They're
can have him
saying-
come. He actually offered to come talk.
the charging fines keeps people from coming to the library because they can't afford the fines, so they don't come and they don't pull books. And what we just heard here is that it didn't make any difference.
not the overdue materials at least. I mean, did
But their
its go?
circulation went up huge
It
amount.
did. Is it
When they
cool?
went
He
fine
needs
free.
to come and talk to
Okay.
because he
Yeah,
can give me
I think you should come in. I think you guys should have a presentation from somebody who's done this for a while to see
Yeah.
what it looks like.
So I have a question for Amanda. Maybe you have a perspective on this, because this is an area that I would maybe have a concern with. That we have, and I don't know this for a fact, but that we have a large number of families moving into the area where the parental generation and above maybe isn't English speaking. And so do you feel like the children in some respects are acting as interpreters and adults, and is that maybe hindering issues with understanding
Sure, maybe in
things
some
like
cases.
libraries and
Sure.
you know what I
Maybe
mean?
in some cases,
Okay.
but not a large percentage.
Not a large percentage. See, I don't
But
have a
in-
sense of that.
In some cases,
Yeah.
especially people who are very new,
Right.
right, to our country
Right.
or in general, but no, I mean, we do have students who are essentially the interpreters for their
Sure.
families.
We do
That-
too.
right?
We've seen them here.
We do
Mhm.
essentially, but I wouldn't say it's a very large number of students,
And
right?
they're-
I mean, I don't have a sense of like the percentage of
Right.
that, but
And that would be a population I would be concerned of. Like, are these families not understanding, or the parents not understanding about getting
Mhm.
things back on time, or are their kids taking books out and not returning them and the parents aren't
Yeah,
aware,
if the
or
kids
whatever,
go to
but,
school, they know. I mean,
Right, I
They
know,
still
I
have
know.
due dates and things that, you know,
Right.
it's within our system that they have to meet.
yeah.
exactly, okay. Okay,
So,
that was my,
Yeah.
a question, a population of,
I think I'm more interested in the children's piece of it, like what that looked like what Pete has to say about when they took at least that piece away from it.
And
And
that,
I'm interested in the amounts that are
Right.
different between like children's books that are being returned versus books, for example, versus adults. Like, you know, like what, and I don't know if you have those numbers and you can pull those numbers, but like, when
might,
you might, when you're looking
Give it to
at
the nerd.
the percentages of fines and where the fines located in,
Right.
like,
Oh, that's
that
true.
would be kind of interesting to
Yeah.
I
see.
know, yeah, so Central has been fine free for children's books for a very long time.
Mm.
And I believe, okay, so Pete can address this too. I believe Central might be, if it's on a children's card, it's any material. I'm gonna have to verify that.
Mm.
Whereas TOSA, it's just the fine, it's just the
Just the
material,
children's materials.
which is what I would
Oh,
probably say.
that's interesting. So they,
Because
okay.
you could use it, if,
Yeah, kids' card to check out.
now I have to
any
verify
mater-
that.
Yeah, yeah.
But-
If
And
that's it.
Cudahy is also fine free on children's
children's,
only.
yeah. Okay.
I have a question, and this is kind of off topic, but do our Explorer passes get held longer than they're supposed to be? Like, do we have an overdue problem with that, like the Zoo Pass and the,
We've only had one problem in the years that we've had them. How
Okay.
long? We've had them for 3 years now?
Mhm,
Yeah.
3 or
at
4
least.
years,
Okay.
yeah. And we've
People
only
are
had
pretty-
one,
okay,
we've only had one issue in that whole time, yeah.
Okay.
It didn't cost us anything, we just got a new pass.
Mm.
right,
The only thing that I was kinda a little not happy about was the fact that the old pass is still active. And there's
Oh.
nothing I can do about it. The zoo won't make
They
it
won't
inactive.
eliminate that?
They won't
Oh.
eliminate it. So
So that-
theoretically,
That
patrons
person.
got a permanent free.
Well, just for a year though.
But
I
that's-
assume you have to renew it every year?
We do, but it's the same number, we just renew the,
Yeah, but if you don't renew that number,
if I don't renew it at all, then we wouldn't have passes.
oh, you got a renewal with the same exact number?
Yeah.
oh, maybe you should.
Well, that's the zoo's
So
problem.
I said,
Yeah,
well,
zip
Not
that one
ours.
and get a new one.
Yeah,
brought it up to them saying, well, it's not really, I mean, if that, I shouldn't be talking, this is public, but
Yeah, we understand.
yeah.
yeah, but maybe what you should do is put it under the foundation's name.
You can only have 2.
No, I mean like close out.
They can't, they only sell the platypus circle,
Oh,
like, we can only get 2. The foundation can only get 2.
Mm.
So if we had a
Well,
friends group, if we had a friends group, the foundation, and, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's,
I guess it,
yeah,
to me, that sounds like a problem with the zoo.
it is a
It's-
problem
it's
for the
For the zoo,
Mhm.
not for us, but, cause
I
we're
just-
not paying for
Ethically,
two.
I have issues with.
Exactly, exactly.
So
Okay.
are we carrying over this conversation about going fine-free at all, or are we making a decision that we're not?
I vote we have Pete come in.
That's my vote.
So we'll hold it till next month?
Table
Really?
it till next.
I
Well,
mean,
we don't have to take action on it. It was
I think I put
possible.
possible.
We should put possible action. We don't have to take action on it, but would you, next month is board elections and committee. I don't know that necessarily goes real long, but could you see within the next 2 or 3 months if he could come to one of our
Yeah,
meetings?
he would, he's already offered to.
Okay. And I am gonna forward Jennifer, because I think he just replied to me on that email.
Yeah, he did, I didn't see that,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Those articles, and then if you would pass them on to everybody, so everybody could have that information and could read it from those sources that he passed on, so. All right, any last words for this meeting, knowing it will continue to be a discussion in the future? Okay. Alrighty, Jason, do you have any update on past or upcoming council actions related to the library?
Yes, with this being much like the Royal Rumble is the start to the road to WrestleMania. With,
Nice spirit.
talking about the budget tonight,
Yeah.
tomorrow
Tomorrow
night,
night, yeah.
Finance Committee meets, and that is, the mayor has already made it very much a suggestion to the rest of the council, the members that are not on the committee, that they should be there to witness the kind of the building of the budget as a whole. So
What time is that meeting at? I just looked today and
6:30.
6:30.
I think
okay.
6:30.
Yeah. Okay, let's get it right.
So we can all come?
Yes, it is open to the public.
It's an open meeting.
Oh, I won't be
I
there.
was hoping to be there, but
You wanna zoom in from the pool?
all right. So yeah, I noticed that obviously that the city was starting, or the finance committee was starting. So 6 o'clock, Jason, I see on the city website.
Okay.
So on Tuesday the 24th, the finance committee is meeting at 6 o'clock.
Yep, 6. I'm
So-
sorry.
No
It's
problem.
confusing because of common council, because I did,
I
I
know.
walked in half an hour late to finance committee
Ah.
meetings because I thought it was at 6:30.
Oh, okay. All right. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
All righty. And then regarding the schools, Amanda.
Summer, so I hope that all our
Well.
children are coming to the library.
We have a
And
lot,
You have
yeah,
a
we
lot.
have-
It's,
Yeah.
yeah. And we were in here last week. It was busy. So right now, it's actually a busy time for those of us in district office in preparations for next year. But
Yeah.
in general, nothing to report from the school district.
Okay.
We had the pleasure of utilizing a library room. We rented a space last
And
week.
it was really rainy, so.
Yeah, it was just, but I think what the team did appreciate was being away. Sometimes you get more work done when you're not in your actual space, so
Yeah.
although it might have been sticky in here, it was a very productive day for the group that we had about 10 of us who were here
Nice.
working on some important work, so.
Good.
Glad that we had the option.
Use it anytime, right? All right. And then, as far as my report goes, I just want to extend a public thank you to Judy Williams Kalaki for her years of service on the board and how much we appreciate her. Yeah. And our meetings are open. You can come anytime.
I can come, I still might come to.
Yeah.
Oh,
That'd be awesome.
What are your consultant fees?
What are my consulting fees? You can't afford them.
It's just in our budget.
I might pro bono.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Are you anticipating legal issues,
You know what, you always wanna come prepared.
Right.
You always wanna come prepared,
Right.
and I don't know that when she said that she found somebody for the board, that we're gonna get somebody of the same quality.
Well, Lauren's good, and I'm more than happy to provide input if needed. So she can email phone a friend.
All right, we'll move on to Jennifer's report then.
Is this mine? Oh.
Yeah, already?
I mean, so the big thing is air conditioning.
Yes.
Or the lack thereof.
Saturday I was, so Friday it was,
Why don't I help you with that?
Thought it would be easier.
Friday the coils were cleaned, the filters were replaced, because that was the advice of Johnson Controls because of the humidity in the air. Cause it's been cooling, but not
Kind of.
cooling, it's just sticky in here.
It's comfortable
Better
today.
today. I
Well,
mean,
it's sticky. Like you could tell if you, like,
Yeah.
my papers are all wet, but, or damp,
Moist.
moist.
Use that word here, Jason.
So the update is there, Johnson Controls is sending service techs out tomorrow to look at compressor, condenser, whatever they're,
Have we had any
It-
complaints from patrons about?
Yeah. yeah, I mean, it was pretty warm in here on Saturday, cause at some point on Saturday, the air decided not to work, it shut off
Mm-hmm.
because it's getting high pressure alerts, and that's a good thing, cause you
Right.
want it to shut
But are we a
down.
cooling shelter?
We are, yeah.
Well, we're listed.
So, yeah, and I sent an, email to Leonard on Sunday morning, cause I emailed him right away on Saturday when I was in, so it went from 75 degrees to 82 degrees within an hour. I mean, it's hot.
Yeah. We have lots of windows.
And there was so much humidity in this building that the carpets were wet. There was a sheen
the
of water
tile.
on the tile
That is
floors.
Why are we
Papers
with
were
books?
falling.
How is it affecting the books?
Yeah, papers were falling off the wall. Flyers were falling off the wall.
The computers. probably.
Computers, had Maureen shut them, we shut them all down, so that there was no, but,
So,
I sent an email to Leonard, I didn't hear back from him. I couldn't sleep at all Saturday night, at all, cause I just kept thinking about it, the mold, I was like seeing mold forming in my head in the library, so then I got up at 6:30 in the morning and I emailed Leonard again and said, you know, we're a cooling shelter, there's damage going on, and then I didn't hear back from him, so then I called Joe and said, bring Chris Ziggy, cause we had to do something, right? I had to get it back up. I had to at least get the cooling back up and running. So Chris came in for a couple hours on Sunday morning. So we'll get a bill for like double, triple time.
so I have two questions. I mean, do we know if it's a controls issue or
No, it's
or
a
a mechanical
it's a
issue?
mechanical issue.
Okay, and I will be honest, I don't know Chris. But we've had a contractor come in and we continue to have problems. I mean, if this was my house, I would switch contractors.
It's
Are
not
we
Chris.
at the, okay,
No.
all right,
No,
I'm
this
just,
has
that's
nothing
why
to do
I'm,
with Chris Ziggy.
okay,
Not to-
all right,
Because there's
it's
too
not
many
a,
Chris's in the world. Chris Ziggy.
no, I know,
So it's not him.
okay,
Yeah,
but it's
there's
not a
nothing-
control issue.
It's not a control
So
issue.
what,
It's a mechanical issue. Chris hasn't actually worked on, Johnson Controls has been doing the
doing all the,
repairs.
okay, all
Chris
right.
hasn't done a lot.
He hasn't done a lot with the, okay.
No.
And Leonard's from Johnson Controls.
And Leonard from Johnson,
And he
he's a
could
project
respond to any of
manager.
your emails on the weekend.
Right, which is why I just contacted,
That's not acceptable, and you need to tell the city that.
So who has done prior to the Johnson Controls?
well, that was Chris.
That was
There
Chris.
has been Chris
So he has serviced
in
our,
the past,
in
but
the
this,
past,
this
okay.
current issue
Okay.
isn't related to.
Because my second issue is the fact that Johnson Controls has installed these controls and our staff is not trained on them and they're telling us to wait until November when we get our new chillers. And so nobody here can do anything
Yeah, that
with the
doesn't work.
controls. So that I think, and I was in Jennifer's office when Chris 2.0 came in and
Joe 2.0.
Joe 2.0 came in and he said he just contacted them and he was going to be trained on the controls. Am I right?
Yeah.
Somebody here needs to be trained on these controls. We can't wait till November when everything is in place. They should have, once the
And
controls,
we don't need air conditioning.
once the controls were installed in the building, you should have been trained on them. No matter what
I
equipment
think part
was
of
here.
it too right now is the boilers aren't hooked up. We don't have the boilers yet. So we have no boilers, which is fine because it's 95
Right.
degrees outside.
Right.
But we.
But are the controls controlling the chillers that we have? Well, then we
I
need to
think
be
so, yeah.
we need to be trained. You need to be trained on
Yeah.
the controls. So if you could, you know, I
Yeah.
think Joe is making sure that is happening, but that's a concern.
Yeah.
That we
And he didn't respond to you over the weekend? That's a concern. That's a huge concern.
and have you
Yeah.
copied the city on all these?
I
Okay.
copied Joe 2.0 and Kelly
And
Hirsch.
Kelly on all these
Yeah.
emails to Leonard or whoever the Johnson Control.
Does he
And none of
realize
this
what
is under
happens
warranty.
if they don't do their job, which is that there's millions of dollars in damage to materials in the library?
Yeah, I was actually like talking to an insurance person to see if that's
Oh.
if there was mold. Now Joe 2.0 said it would take longer than the time that it was down for mold to start growing.
But what happens if it happened on Friday night and we couldn't get a hold of him on Saturday or Sunday
Sunday.
in 100-degree weather?
Yeah, that's not
We
acceptable.
got a lot of summer left, don't we?
Yeah.
We have a lot of summer left, so.
So anyway, just so you know, I kind of like I know Johnson Controls says they're in charge of the equipment on the roof. I kind of overrode them because I was
Absolutely.
like, just
Well, because nobody was responding to you.
Yeah, and I was like, I gotta do something.
If I were you,
I
I'd
can't-
send him the bill from Chris.
Yeah.
So then I talked to Jeff Van Ness. Jeff Van Ness called me this morning to apologize and say that they were sending service techs out. Hopefully today. But we haven't seen anyone yet. I haven't seen anyone yet. So
That's not acceptable.
Joe
You need to push back. 'cause
Joe
that is
talked
not
to
acceptable.
Leonard. Joe was communicating with Leonard, and I guess Leonard said, well, it'll definitely be tomorrow.
After the heat's
When it's
over.
80.
I mean, but we have cooling now, right? I mean, it's,
I know, but we have
The
got to
humidity
push
is
back
still
because
here,
they,
yeah.
that's not good customer service
No.
at all.
Right, and there needs to be a real formal escalation procedure as well as, okay, if this happens, what should be the response?
And
Right?
I asked
Within 2
Leonard-
hours from
Mhm.
who or whatever it is, right? And that needs to be held to.
I talked to Leonard about this 2 weeks ago, and
Right.
he said you would
It's-
contact me. That's what I did.
When
you
I was
only have his email?
I have phone number.
Did you
Yeah.
call him?
I texted him.
yeah.
Nothing? Seriously?
They need to have more than one point of contact.
Do you
Yeah.
have Jeff's
What's he using a
cell?
hospital?
I may have it somewhere, so I will follow up.
Yeah.
Well, and my concern then would be like, we are one of the buildings that
Right?
this contract is, so,
Although they're
I,
having the most extensive stuff being done.
If somebody is
Right.
uncomfortable in
But
another
it's the
building, it's
same-
one thing. We have capital material here that, we would have to, let's say, rebuy. And I don't.
But we're also the cooling place for the city.
Mhm. And I did say that in my
So when
email.
we
I
run
said
out
we're
of
the
power,
cooling
there's a large contingent in Greenfield and Greendale that were out of power.
right?
If that had been us, where would people have gone?
Right.
Or if they came here, because, yeah.
Right.
But it's the same team that's servicing the entire city. And my point too is that, that's why making sure all of the city departments are aware so that, that this needs to be resolved so that other city departments don't have issues if they have to escalate things too. Unfortunately, we're hopefully gonna get this worked out, but, yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, yeah, so just so you know what I did on Sunday.
Okay.
You did the right thing.
Yeah, I would present that bill to Leonard when he shows up, if he shows up tomorrow.
Well, see, Joe 2.0 and I were talking about it, because Joe's like, I called him because you told me to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, right. Well, we had to do
and,
something.
And we were talking about, okay, whose responsibility is the bill? And I'm like, well, Johnson Controls is in charge of that. Will they bulk? Because I tried to go through them.
Exactly.
And did you
Tried.
document, well, you have the emails.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
the emails and a
Mhm,
text,
mhm.
yeah.
And did you pass all that information on to Jeff when he called this morning?
Well,
When
this,
you
He knew
talked?
about
this
it.
issue's not done yet. As
Yeah.
soon as it is, you will, right?
Yeah, yeah, okay.
So anyway, I just, so you know, that's.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't wanna go on and I could talk
Yeah.
about HVAC. So then the parking lot lights, so you know, that's not part of the Johnson Controls project, so Joe's working with DPW, so,
How funny that the controls for the lights were not part of putting the new lights in? Like there's
the
old,
parking lot light.
yeah,
Oh, you mean,
like
when
we
they
have
replace
new
them, yeah.
parking lot lights, but we still have old things controlling them.
Exactly.
Huh, okay.
So we're looking at, okay, what are our options? Because the current system is not.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I made an
Only
assumption.
Only Joe, the old Joe 1.0 could tell, and it was by just, he'd advance it 1 hour or 2 hours, but you can't even see the numbers on the screen anymore.
Ah,
He just did it by
by
memory.
knowing how many clicks
So-
to go.
Exactly. So, yeah.
You can write
Okay.
back saves too.
So that's
Measure with
coming,
your heart.
that's coming up, so I'll keep you posted on that. And then we're talking about the budget, solar, RFID, yeah, I was on the phone with FE Technologies today, so we're still troubleshooting. They were able to fix the problem in a controlled environment in Australia,
Yeah.
but for some reason, it's not working
Here in
here.
Franklin, Wisconsin, it's not working.
It's because they've got the lights on at the wrong time of day.
Well, they're in the
No,
southern
Right,
hemisphere.
the
Everything works better
magnetism is
there.
backwards.
Going the wrong direction.
So anyway,
And
just.
it's winter there anyway.
Right.
That's right.
At least we've narrowed it down. We know what tags it's happening with. It's happening with the ones that have a different frequency. They
There
use
we
a
go.
different frequency than our other tags. And it was a group of tags that we bought during a certain time period. So I know when the dates go up, I'm like, well, you must have something checked out from 2010 to 2015.
Just replace with a new RFID tag then?
Well, do you know how much
I
that
asked her
would
that.
be?
Can you just do
Ask
that
them
when
to
it
start
gets,
paying
when it
to give you
buzzes?
this new
Can
one?
you just slap a new one on?
That would be
It
expensive.
interferes
'cause there's a
still.
lot of stuff.
You should tell them they need to.
So
essentially
is it
provide
like
us.
when you buy seafood at the
Huh?
Aldi and you buzz and they just sell just
I mean, they're still, what I don't
Double.
understand is if they
You're
were
fine.
able to
Here's your money,
replicate, they were
take a new
able to
one.
replicate the issue in Australia, and they were able to fix it with a new antenna. So they came and installed new antennas, but still the same issue. So I'm like, well, there's gotta, if you were able to fix it in Australia, you've gotta be able to fix it here.
Oh God.
It's not that different. But anyway, that's, I'll keep on them.
When's your vacation, Jennifer?
I actually have one next week.
Good.
for a week. Yeah.
You're going to Australia?
Check out the
It's an all expense paid trip to, from
Australia?
FE
From
Technology.
them, yeah, exactly.
Oh, goodness.
And then the other thing I didn't have in here, because I just got this email this morning, but this is regarding the state budget. So, for those of you who don't know, my husband's on the library, it's called LDNL, library, it's legislative something something.
Okay, good enough.
I don't know, we
Fair
call it
enough.
LDNL. And basically what they do is they meet with our representatives
Mm.
and work hard on getting more money for the systems, because for many years it was just flat, like it never raised. And over the last 3-4 years, they've been able to get
Increases.
significant increases, which has helped us out, because that's how MICLIS is able to cover our cataloging
Right,
costs.
right. Mm-hmm.
So indirectly, it helps us out. So the Joint Finance Committee recommended that they advance the budget. It's not the budget that WLA asked, that the group asked for. However, Pete kind of felt like that was pie in the sky anyway. It's a good thing. It's like,
Air Force approach, aim high.
yeah.
So how does it not being what you wanted and getting what you got,
What's the comparison?
what's the effect
They were
on
asking
us?
for twice.
What's the effect on
Oh,
us?
for us? Well, it just means MICLIS, the system would get more money. So it would be an extra $1 million for the first year and $2 million the second year increase for the library systems.
Okay, and then does McFliss already have placeholders for that money on, like, okay, we need the extra money for,
I know they've been talking about getting a data analyst, which I would love,
Mm.
because that person can help me, could be a consultant, kind of like Deb Merritt is for marketing,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
and could help with compiling reports, statistical reports, you know, the nerdy stuff that Pete likes. Pete probably wouldn't use them, but I would.
Because he can do his own.
Maybe that would be the job for Pete.
That's interesting. Did not think about that.
Annie says.
Although he does like it. So I just wanted to pass that out, is that it looks like
For
it's
20
coming out of the Joint Finance Committee, and usually that's, and it's on party line, usually it's the majority party.
Okay,
And usually that gets passed,
okay.
Mhm.
So
So
it looks
the-
good.
for the 2026.
in
Year.
2027.
Yeah.
It's a biennial,
Right, right.
so, yeah.
Now, does their stuff run on a calendar year? January to,
Yeah, that's what I was.
That's a good question, I don't think so.
I think-
it,
I think budget years for the government
I think
works
it's
January to the December, doesn't it?
I would have said mid-year, but
Oh, okay, well,
I
maybe
think
it
it
is.
might be July,
It is July, I think
I think you're right.
yeah.
Okay,
All right.
Then how come we're January to December?
We used to be, remember? We were July, that was a mess.
No, I mean, we've always been fiscally the calendar year.
mhm.
It might have something to do with the state statutes.
Well, matching it up with what the city is doing as far as
Yeah,
when their budget is and
Right.
taxation and things like that,
yeah,
so.
'cause
you
can
keep-
you imagine if we were different?
We can't be. We're part of the
No.
city.
Yeah.
We're part of the city.
Okay, that was it, that's pretty much all my
Okay.
monthly report.
I was wondering with your, at a glance,
Yeah,
that circulation numbers are skewing a little lower. the difference, right? Or is that a positive?
This month is a positive.
No, but I mean overall, the
Overall,
totals.
Yeah, overall,
Does that have anything to do with this new system and it being weird? Being
oh, that
finicky?
didn't come in until
Okay, that
April.
was my question, if it came in and if it
No.
would have affected, okay, that's all.
I mean, our e-use, which I think is very interesting, continues to increase every
Yeah,
month,
yeah,
which I find very interesting. Since we only allow half the checkouts on Hoopla, so that just means more and more people are using
Yeah.
Overdrive,
right,
Libby,
right.
and that's why I would I'm hoping we talk about it at our next ODAC meeting. I really want to look at replacing Hoopla
Mm-hmm,
with on-demand stuff or
oh, sure.
through Overdrive, because obviously people are using it a lot.
My daughter uses Hoopla still. She doesn't like her 2 checkouts a month.
I
her to
heard,
get a
I know.
I've heard from other people, but you know,
Yeah.
$19,000 a
I know,
year,
I know.
That's insane.
I think it's people that have gotten used to it, like my daughter.
and I
really
understand
likes
because
it.
it's on demand. It's
Yes,
like
she really
you want to
loves it.
listen
Yes.
to
Yep.
Taylor Swift's new album, you can
Yeah.
just go on
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
download it right there.
Immediately. Alrighty. Then any questions for Jennifer? Okay, then we'll move on to the foundation report. And he's laughing too hard to give it.
I mean, we had the joint meeting, which
Yeah.
was very nice. We, I mean, it's all the same stuff we don't have a meeting for a while.
Okay.
Dennis had read about is it Saputo's giving the money to the playground for the
Yeah.
new surface, and he really, really, really wants to hit up the new businesses. So
I mean, it's been on our to-do list
Yeah, I
for
know.
quite a while.
So-
We
To
need
make
to
a
do
major-
some action.
yeah, so I'm gonna meet with Barb Weisner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Karma
week.
Labs
Yeah.
just opened their brand new headquarters.
So I asked my son, I'm like, John, what do you know about it? Yaskawa. He's like, oh, they're my second favorite drives manufacturer.
Excellent.
So I
Alrighty then.
said, who's your first?
And?
ABB.
Oh, okay.
So anyway,
ABB used to be over in
New Berlin.
Tulsa. Did it move to New Berlin now?
that's his favorite drives
They've been in New
manufacturer.
Berlin for a
But
while.
Yaskawa
Oh, they
is
have?
Yeah.
They must
definitely
have
his
had
second
like
favorite.
another
So he
satellite
was very
Probably.
excited that they'll be here in Franklin.
Yeah, and other than that, I mean,
Yeah.
we've just had some emails flying around about getting a little bit more serious about approaching the bigger corporations that are coming in for. Saputo just gave $50,000 to Kayla's playground.
Wow.
So I
I
had a
mean-
little bit of
Last
an
year.
idea. I had a little bit of an idea for Yaskawa since they're like this
The
electronics.
new $40,000 worth of computers that we need.
Or, like, I know my nieces go all the way out to McGuanago's library to their makerspace because they have a very cool one of those laser cutter thingies and they make all this wood stuff and so some big major thing for our create space.
name rights to the grades.
How
Eh,
about-
well, yeah, for
Or
sure.
how about the $40,000 computer?
Yeah, that
computers
too.
That we need?
Yeah.
I don't. Well, we just replaced that was the RFID stuff that we.
So it'd be kind of cool to
But I would
align
take 40,000
what
for
the
computers.
company does with something here, either
Right.
computers or electronics. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, okay,
Noted.
noted. Alrighty.
The last thing is I was going to say we're going to be getting the information out about Nick Petrie, but
yeah.
evidently, I was told today by another foundation member that she has many, many acquaintances who are very interested in buying tickets already. So we're going to
Oh.
try to get the information out. Wait a couple weeks to allow that information to disseminate, and then start
Mhm.
the ticket sales maybe earlier than we have
Yeah.
before.
What's the date for the event?
September 25th.
6 to 8 p.m.
6 to 6:30 will be food, beer and wine, raffle baskets, all that stuff.
September
and then
what?
6:30 will
25th.
start.
25.
6:30
okay.
will be the author
Okay.
talk
Okay.
discussion.
Yes. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Terry, do you have a colon report?
Well, I do, but I wanna make it as short as possible, and probably would be easy to do anyway. The Council on Library and Network Development is a group that was set up within the state government and about basically improving library facilities and so on and so forth, and materials. But we don't really have much in the way of contact, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It was all new to me when I was appointed as a member on that board. So, trying to figure out a good way to do this. Problem is, they're a statewide group of people who are either interested in libraries, there's some kind of library work that they do, even though it's not their job, or some people's jobs. So as we're going along, examples from the most recent meeting, and that was in May, and there won't be another one until a 2-month interval, so that's in July. So there won't be quite as timely as you might like, but their examples were one part of the meeting was a summary of the public library annual report for the whole state.
Mm-hmm.
The DPI and school libraries updates. Schools and libraries are look to each other pretty closely. A lot of the same people are working on similar issues. There's issues about federal funding, and again, that's at the school level and at the state level. There's a review of what's new in the state legislature and or what's going on in the state legislature, and that's again on library and legislative issues to the extent that that they're connected. An example would be here: you go to you can run into this where there's a library in the school, or the high school, and a lot of us probably been going to libraries, public libraries, our whole life, and then you realize, wait a minute, how connected are these things? And sometimes not too bad, but sometimes it's, people are a little leery about, well, how do I do this? Can I get this from the other kind of library, that kind of thing. There's something, I didn't hear about this, but something that's called Law for Libraries, and what that was, my understanding of that was, again, there's legal issues that come up from public libraries, and so that's something that people working there have to be concerned with and realize what's going on. I'm thinking some things about people who have objections about things that are on in the collection, and that varies from place to place and how it's handled. But I guess to look back, going through all of this, it's still, even though it's the same people, some of the same people that they work at different other levels of this. If just this little touch of it that I've talked to you about, if you get some ideas about what either you already know from a third-party source, how you can get information that would kind of connect these things, or would tell you about some issue in the legislature that is you're not picking up on it, and it affects your local school, your library. By that I mean your library, your school library. Let me know and I'll see if I can find that out. Sometimes some of these things may be kind of buried somewhere else, and I don't catch them, and I should if I'm involved in this. Let me know, and I'll try and track back on this. And their next meeting in Poland is in a couple of weeks. So if I can, I'll see what I can get from those people Maybe add that to whatever's on the agenda coming up. And one thing that they do there is there's this 2-month interval, but the agenda is getting put together, like the last week. But people are all over the place with it, so it's
Mhm.
that can happen. And it's been an interesting thing to see.
Mhm.
So, any questions?
Colin serves as an advisory committee to DPI, or to whom, or what is?
It's part of, it's under the, DPI is, let's say, in charge.
Okay.
Although the board is
Okay.
not commanded by them, but
Correct.
that's really.
That's who you report to, or make recommendations
Right,
to,
right.
or
Yes, yes.
submit.
People in the Department of Public Instruction.
Okay.
They've been great to work for. It's people that didn't know much about,
Right.
and they are a pretty good bunch.
Good.
So, so that would be my thought, my idea for you. If you can think of anything of how do you mesh these things, or what
Mhm.
information is out there, but a lot of people aren't getting it. I'll admit to not getting it when I joined on with this.
Right.
So that's what I have.
Great. Well, thank you always, but thank you for your report.
Okay.
Yeah, that's helpful. All right, so the Buildings and Grounds Committee is meeting
Wednesday.
Wednesday at 2:00.
Oh, new members bring coffee and pastries.
Absolutely.
So are we putting
You
in
can split
orders
up,
for
one
so
can
you
bring
know
coffee,
what?
one can bring
At
pastries.
2:00. I'll be up all night.
Coffee. At
Excellent.
2:00? 2:00?
At 2:00.
Coffee at 2:00?
2:00.
Pastries? This is not, no.
Please bring your items up to front desk for checkout.
Okay,
Thank
milkshakes
you.
and potato
burgers.
chips.
Cheese curds. I don't know.
Steak and lobster.
Steak and lobster. Peanut butter and jam. Okay. And then our next meeting is July 28th. Does anybody know for sure?
I will not be there.
You, of course.
Oh,
Oh,
we
and you
miss
said you were
Judy.
gonna stop in.
All right. And let me
Not that
look here.
particular day.
Whoops.
The great
July. I will
upheaval day in
just be home.
I
Okay.
make a motion we adjourn.
I second.
Okay.
Oh,
Any
wait.
of
I couldn't, it was fine, I was thinking
Oh,
about
I'm
that's fine.
sorry.
Oh,
No.
we
You
rescind,
take
we
it. You
rescind.
take it.
Okay.
I
So
rescind.
I seconded it.
Judy seconded.
You got it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Have a great
We
evening.
should've let
Grab
you make
a.
all